Is the zoom on the Galaxy S20 as good as the zoom on the Galaxy S20 Ultra? With all new Galaxy S20 phones in our hands, it's time for the ultimate zoom comparison that will show you whether getting the S20 Ultra for its super zoom capabilities is actually worth it over just getting the S20 or the S20 Plus. Hello guys, Vic with PhoneArena here, and the S20 Ultra impresses us with its space zoom camera. It features a folded periscope lens with a native 4x optic zoom, but it performs incredibly well, also at 10x and more thanks to Samsung's hybrid optic zoom technology that combines input from the periscope camera and the main camera. The Ultra can even go as far as 100x zoom, but keep in mind that everything further than the 10x zoom appears to be good old digital zoom, where you lose a bit in terms of quality and detail. Now the Galaxy S20 and the S20 Plus on the other hand lack the periscope camera, and they don't even have a telephoto camera at all. The two phones use a 64 megapixel secondary camera. Samsung itself admits that it actually sports a lens that is very much wide angle, almost as wide as the lens on the main camera. The telephoto lens here only provides us 1.06 times zoom. That's almost nothing compared to the regular camera. So all the zooming is actually almost entirely based on software. Is this really that bad when compared to the S20 Ultra? We have shot images at 30x, 10x, 4x and 2x zoom, as well as the regular 1x main photo with the main camera. Here are the results. Starting with the maximum zoom level on the S20 and the S20 Plus, 30x zoom, you can see that just as you'd expect, the cameras on the S20 and the S20 Plus phones are basically the same. Where you do see a huge difference is in comparison to the S20 Ultra, which looks much cleaner and which has a lot less noise. This is especially noticeable on that stray piece of hair that looks beautifully sharp and clear on the Ultra and very noisy on the other two. In this next scene, our own Peter K modeled for this shot, and you can see that his face looks clean, even at 30x zoom, while the same zoom level on the S20 produces an image that is very noisy and it doesn't look as good. Finally, we also zoomed in on some text far away. This is a good moment to mention that all these shots are taken without any tripods or gimbals. We're just holding the phones in our hand and shooting. My hand has obviously trembled a bit on the S20 shot, and you can see that it looks slightly blurrier than the S20 Plus, but both are quite noisy when compared to the S20 Ultra. So far, at 30x zoom, the Ultra outperforms the other two strongly. Next up, we look at the image at 10x zoom. Samsung advertises that at 10x you get hybrid optic zoom, which still looks great, and indeed it does. The shots from the S20 series are quite noisy and don't look nearly as good. Peter volunteered to sit it out in the cold and he looks rather unhappy, but I do hope the results were worth it. Once again, this image proves that the Ultra is far superior in both the detail and the overall appeal of the image. The difference at 10x zoom is nowhere nearly as pronounced as it was at 30x, but is still there. Next up, we go to 4x zoom level, the native optic zoom for the S20 Ultra. Your framing would probably be different if you shoot at 4x zoom, as you would have a lot more subject in the frame, but for the sake of this comparison, we stood still and didn't change our position in the framing, so you can still notice the cleaner photo from the Ultra, which beats the other two handily. Look up close in this second scene and you see tons of noise on the photo from the S20 series, while the S20 Ultra remains crispy clean. The Ultra is truly the most advanced phone when it comes to zooming far and away. Interestingly, none of the S20 phones have a 2x telephoto zoom camera like the S10 series used to. This means that quality at 2x zoom level is actually worse than on last year's Galaxies. But back to this comparison, there are no huge differences at this zoom level between the phones. The advantages of the Ultra are only apparent after you zoom in at least 4x. One more shot to prove this, and again we see no major differences between the phones at 2x zoom level. And finally, this is how this image looks with the main camera, no zoom. Remember that first image, 30x zoom? Take a look at this image compared to the 30x zoom magnification to appreciate the incredible amount of zoom range all these phones provide. Truly mind-boggling. And this is also a good image to check if there are any major differences in image quality between the 108 megapixel sensor on the S20 Ultra and the 12 megapixel sensor on the S20 and the S20 Plus. The answer, in our opinion, is no, not really. It seems that colors and detail all look very comparable, unless you really start pixel peeping. One more shot to compare the main camera on the S20 Ultra against the main cameras on the S20 Plus. And we do notice a bit more dynamics on the S20 Ultra, which reveals the blue color in the skies, while the other phones don't quite cope with that task. But apart from that one detail, the images are very similar. So we started with a question, and that question was whether the zoom on the Galaxy S20 Ultra is vastly better than the zoom on the S20 and the S20 Plus. In our opinion, the answer is unequivocal. Yes. Images from the Ultra look much cleaner, from 4x zoom to 30x zoom and beyond. And if you want to capture that special moment of your kid's first baseball game or a concert, Galaxy S20 Ultra is the way to go. The S20 and the S20 Plus can still capture a great looking image, especially compared to other phones, but not quite to the extent that the S20 Ultra can, and the difference is noticeable. So that's it guys, this wraps up our zoom comparison between the S20 Ultra and the regular S20 and S20 Plus. Let me know what you think about the differences. Could you see them on your screen? And which one are you getting? Are you getting any of these phones? Let me know in the comments. My name is Vic, you're watching PhoneArena. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you in the next one.